Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, leaders of a San Diego megachurch respond to the grand jury's call to suspend their permit. And the new leader of an embattled consumer group says the fight will go on. A special memorial service for a homeless veteran will be held in Balboa Park tomorrow. He's one of hundreds of homeless vets who receive dignified funerals. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. A Point Loma Megachurch says the county grand jury is wrong in calling for the suspension of its permit. The grand jury report says the Rock Church is incompatible with land use plans for Liberty Station, leading to traffic and parking problems in the area. In a written statement, the church says the report is factually and legally inaccurate. It says the permit was issued after a thorough review in 2004 and says, quoting here, the grand jury failed to properly review and consider the correct regulatory requirements and documents prepared by the city and approved by the Planning Commission. As a result, the grand jury findings are incorrect. Mayor Jerry Sanders has until August 22nd to respond to the report. There were more evacuations today because of the Banner Fire east of Julian. Campers were forced out of an RV park near Anza Borrego State Park. The fire has burned about 2,500 acres so far. No word yet on when it might be completely contained. Some San Diego City Council members say surplus revenue should mean more funding for lifeguards. The lifeguard service wants $300,000 to hire some fill-in lifeguards and to run a wellness program to prevent injuries. San Diego is projected to have a budget surplus of nearly $18 million. City Council will vote on the budget next month. On Saturday, one of many homeless veterans in San Diego will have a dignified memorial service. About 269 funerals have been held at a historic site in Balboa Park since 2000. It was built back in 1994.
Then, like we have around here, we said let's call it a museum too.
Will Hayes is a retired Navy captain and chairman of the board for this nonprofit center in Balboa Park. He says about 12 years ago, they started a memorial service for homeless veterans who represent 1 out of 4 people living on the streets of San Diego. Most of them have no relatives to contact or make funeral arrangements.
And the reason we started that is we learned that the National Cemetery, Rosecrans, was receiving FedEx boxes of ashes. Now, did those veterans receive military honors? Well, let's start a service and we'll recognize those ashes that come in and make sure that we provide honors here for them.
This museum and memorial center has been honoring veterans in active duty military for nearly 70 years. These murals represent a collection of military history. You may even recognize this signature of former POW and presidential candidate John McCain.
Yes, because I knew he had one hand that didn't work, but I didn't remember which one. So I watched him as he talked to people and so forth. And so I presented him the pen to sign this to the correct hand, his right hand.
The center covers everything from the conflict in Iraq and Afghanistan to the impact women have had on the service. And it will be open on Memorial Day for the public to remember those who've given their lives to protect our nation's freedom.
Now, funeral services for homeless vets and others are held once a month at that center. A special tribute will be held on Monday. Senator McCain and presidential candidate Mitt Romney are expected to attend. A North County tribe is planning to expand its casino. Harrah's Rincon will get a new nightclub and concert venue and more hotel rooms and slot machines. Last year, the Rincon Band of Mission Indians sued the state to allow more slots. A public meeting on the project will be held Wednesday. Despite threats of dissolution, San Diego's largest consumer protection group will go on, but with a new director. Amitha Sharma is talking with her at the Evening Edition Roundtable.
Kim Malcolm stepped in this week to replace Michael Shames as executive director of the Utilities Consumers Action Network. UCAN has been racked by internal fighting and accusations of embezzlement in recent months. Malcolm is here to talk to me about the future of UCAN. You're coming in at a tumultuous time for UCAN. There's an FBI investigation. 2 staffers made some serious allegations against the former executive director, Michael Shames, about financial dealings. How do you plan to repair the organization?
Well, thank you, Mita. As you know, UCAN has a wonderful reputation with state regulators and with the San Diego community. We want to build on UCAN's good reputation, its litigation skills, the work it's done for the last 30 years in the community, helping clients and customers with their bills and their services. So that's my job right now, is to build on that and to get by the lawsuits and the allegations.
What is Michael Shames' relationship to UCAN right now? Is he still somehow connected to the organization that he basically helped found?
Yes, definitely. Michael has stepped down as executive director. He's still employed by UCAN as an attorney and will continue to work on the Public Utilities Commission cases with San Diego Gas and Electric. And we're working out a future working relationship with Michael, who's been such an asset to UCAN for so many years.
As you know, San Diego Gas and Electric has an effort underway to charge customers for the 2007 uninsured wildfire costs as well as future uninsured wildfire costs. There were two public hearings held here in April, and there was a pretty huge uproar about it. Almost 1,000 customers showed up to protest this at the combined hearings. What do you think of this proposal?
Well, in my experience at the PUC, it would be unprecedented for the Commission to allow a utility to recover costs retroactively for damages related to an event for which it had liability. And it would be very unusual. So, and I don't think it would be in consumer interests, and I don't think it would send the right signal to the utility for its future operations and maintenance of its system.
Now, you worked at the California Public Utilities Commission for 20 years as an administrative law judge.
Yes.
You were also chief of staff for a commissioner. There is a perception among some people that the PUC is not serving the interests of customers, but rather the utilities. What do you think of that perception?
I think the Commission has a lot of very talented and dedicated staff. I think that the people who make the decisions there are very well-meaning. I think it's up to organizations like UCAN to present the facts and the analysis and advocate on behalf of consumers and the environment. Right now, I think there are a lot of opportunities because our governor has just appointed 3 very committed, very smart, and very knowledgeable commissioners who seem to care very much about consumers. So UCAN will be doing a lot more litigation up there in the future on behalf of San Diego ratepayers.
So these 3 appointees have served 1 year so far. How do you feel about how they voted?
Well, honestly, I've been running a nonprofit in Berkeley that didn't follow regulation so much. I hear very good things about the work they're doing, the initiatives they're taking, and the public policies they have committed themselves to.
Kim Malcolm, thank you for speaking to us
today.
Thank you.
San Diego gas prices dropped a little going into the Memorial Day weekend. The average price for regular, now $4.30 a gallon, still much higher than it was a year ago at this time. The Auto Club says gas prices are above $4 a gallon throughout Southern California. You won't need much gas to get to the best beach in the nation. It's Coronado. Dr. Beach is a Florida researcher who ranks beaches based on their environmental quality and safety for swimmers. It's the first time in more than 20 years a California beach has won the survey's top ranking.
Super PACs have been big spenders in national elections so far this year, and recently these committees have started pouring money into campaigns in San Diego. The PACs and the candidates running for office in the city filed their campaign finance reports yesterday. Reporter Kevin Crow from our partner, Investigative News Source, is here to tell us more. Kevin, give us an update. Where do the mayoral candidates stand in terms of fundraising?
Well, Carl DeMaio's campaign has brought in the most cash in the past few months. They brought in about $373,000. However, about half of that came out of his own pocket. So he's only received about $193,000 from donors. So on the flip side, Nathan Fletcher really brought in the most from outside donors. He received about $303,000, a figure that his campaign is pretty proud of.
What about the other two candidates, Congressman Bob Filner and District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis?
They're both pretty far behind. You know, DeMaio and Fletcher are very far ahead, to be sure. Dumanis' campaign has brought in about $617,000 in cash during the whole primary election cycle, and Filner has only brought in about $425,000, and that's compared to DeMaio's $1.6 million and Fletcher's about $1.3 million.
Now, the candidates' committees aren't the only ones basically campaigning for the candidates. Who else is out there? What else is out there?
They're not. There are what are called independent expenditure committees, and so some of these are super PACs and some of them are not. And so what they've done is they've established these committees in San Diego to support a given candidate. So for example, San Diegans for Nathan Fletcher, they've raised almost $400,000. Now they can spend that on polling data, they can spend that on mailers or on television commercials in support of Nathan Fletcher, but they're not supposed to be coordinating with Nathan Fletcher's candidate campaign, so they can't be coordinating their actions with each other.
How many of these committees are there?
Well, right now there are 6 for the mayoral candidates. There are others for some of the propositions, but really right now just 6 that are going to matter in the primary for the mayoral candidates.
And what about the 2 ballot initiatives? What kind of money is being spent on these campaigns?
Well, one of the main groups is Comprehensive Pension Reform, or CPR, for San Diego. Now they're supporting comprehensive pension reform. And they've spent almost $2 million to get signatures, to get this measure on the ballot, and to get people to support it. And the people who oppose it have only brought in about $340,000. So it's a pretty lopsided battle. And
there's another measure on the ballot, right?
There is. There's Proposition A, and it's getting a lot of financial attention as well. That's the proposition that would prohibit the city from entering project labor agreements when building city-funded projects. And so local building and contracting political action committees are really putting heavily into that, and they've funneled hundreds of thousands of dollars into the Yes on A campaign. And as a result, that committee has outraised its opposition 3-1.
Now, can you fill us in on the council districts?
Yeah, the council districts, there are a few things going on in the council districts. In the first district, there are 4 candidates. Sherry Leitner is the incumbent, and she's raised close to $200,000 in cash. Her main opponent, Ray Ellis, has brought in about $60,000 more than her. And on the bottom end of that, there's Brian Pease. He's only brought in about $14,000, and Dennis Ridds has really only raised about $3,000. And then in the 9th district, Scott Sherman has really outraised Matt Kostrinsky. They're both ending up with somewhere around $25,000 to $30,000 in cash on hand for the remainder of the primary campaign.
Kevin Crow, thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you.
You can find complete coverage of this year's election and our online voter guide at kpbs.org/election. The California Senate has approved a bill regarding employer access to social media passwords. It makes it illegal for employers and college admissions officers to request such information. The bill's author says it's a matter of privacy. Opponents say the rule might keep an employer from investigating claims of employee harassment before they escalate. The measure now moves to the state assembly. Along with a bill to make the road safer for bicyclists. Drivers would have to give cyclists a 3-foot berth when passing them. Right now, the law only requires a safe distance but doesn't define what's safe. And one more measure California lawmakers are considering requires textbook publishers to create digital versions of their content. Publishers would also have to offer the books in sections so school districts can buy just the parts they want. Districts would also be able to create online textbook databases for students. Small publishers with fewer than 100 employees would be exempt.
1 of every 5 teachers were let go this week in the San Diego Unified School District. With annual tight budgets, it's become a matter of routine to issue layoff notices and then cancel them. But the school district's $120 million deficit this year may mean those layoffs are permanent. Voice of San Diego's investigative reporter Will Carlos is here to tell us what happens next for the laid off teachers and the students they leave behind. Will, we've seen this before. layoff notices are issued, then they're rescinded. What's different this year for the 1,500 teachers who got their notices?
Well, technically what's different is that in past years, a lot of these layoffs have been rescinded before they actually became final. What we've seen this week is that these are final layoff notices. That means these teachers will lose their jobs. Now, the district can still come back and rehire some or even all of them, but we haven't really kind of gone this far in the process with this many people losing their jobs. The other thing that's different is that pretty much everyone I've spoken to says, you know, the budget crunch is that much worse this year. We're kind of out of options to get any extra money to solve this crisis. Now, some people don't believe that, but an awful lot of people do. They think that, you know, what I keep hearing is this is real this time. This is really happening, and there's not some magic cure that's going to come along and get us out of this problem.
Any chance that the district issued more layoff notices than necessary?
Well, this is something that's really important for people to understand, because there's a lot of confusion about this. The district CFO was constantly being quoted by union people and teachers and parents as having said that they laid off, you know, 500 more people than are necessary. Let's look at that very closely, because what he's essentially saying is when teachers retire or take leaves of absence or for some reason say, I'm not coming back to this district next year, that means that they can rescind a layoff for every single one of those teachers. Now, that's going to happen in the next few months. It hasn't happened, you know, in most cases it hasn't happened yet because we're not at the end of the school year. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen with that.
Now, are all the schools uniformly affected by these layoffs?
Certainly not, no. I mean, the layoffs always tend to hit lower socioeconomic areas first. They tend to hit the struggling schools first because they tend to be the schools with newer, younger teachers. The way that it works is that it's kind of last in, first out. The newer, less experienced teachers are the first to get laid off. They tend to be at schools in certain parts of the city. One school, 25 out of 26 teachers have been laid off.
What's been the reaction of parents whose children stand to be affected by these layoffs?
I've been really surprised by how little feedback I've been getting from actual parents. A lot of feedback from teachers, unions, everybody else. Parents haven't really been contacting me. Either that shows me that people, you know, perhaps aren't paying that much attention, or maybe they just don't think that it's real. Like you talked about earlier, I mean, we've had crying wolf before, and I think people are sort of sitting back and waiting to see if this is really going to crystallize, really happen. Then I'm sure I'm going to start getting emails.
Now, local labor leader Lorena Gonzalez has said that, look, these two sides, the teachers union and the school district, need to really sit down at the table and negotiate a deal. What are some of the options?
Well, essentially what we're looking at here, and I've been trying to shout this from the rooftops as much as possible, is what we're looking at. The big reason the district's in this much trouble is that it's promised raises to teachers over the next 2 years. It's those raises that form the bulk of the district's deficit. What Lorena Gonzalez is saying, in an extraordinary move, is, you know, the teachers union needs to sit down and talk about whether teachers should not get either some or all of those raises in exchange for keeping teachers employed.
Now, this vote on Tuesday to issue the final notices to teachers to lay them off was not unanimous. School board member, I think he's Vice President Scott Barnett, said actually voted against the layoffs. He's proposing something else. What else is he proposing?
What Scott wants is he wants the district to rescind all of the layoffs, which would immediately put its books out of balance, which would send the district into insolvency. It's essentially throwing in the towel and saying, we are insolvent, we can't pay our bills. In that instance, the state would sort of take over San Diego Unified. Scott thinks that's a good idea. He thinks the school board's done a terrible job of running the district. The school board would be kicked out if the state took over. So he's in this kind of strange position of saying, I want to keep these teachers, but keeping those teachers means that the ship capsizes and they go into insolvency.
Very quickly, has that ever happened before?
No, never happened to a school district of this size in California, ever.
Will Carles, Voice of San Diego, thank you so much for speaking to me.
Thank you.
Animal Cracker Conspiracy is pushing the boundaries of puppetry with their new production. The Collector is playing at Third Space in University Heights. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando went behind the scenes to see how it all comes together.
You are about to enter another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind and puppetry. Next stop, Animal Cracker Conspiracy.
Don't expect a regular puppet show if you're coming to an Animal Cracker Conspiracy show.
Ian Gunn and Bridget Roundtree are the co-conspirators behind the puppet theater production of The Collector.
We're trying to create a world that has elements of the Victorian, elements of kind of Edgar Allan Poe, 1984. It's a dystopian world where there should be some connections to our reality, but a lot of it's just something that allows you to kind of go in with your imagination opened up and on.
We definitely try and change people's idea about what puppetry is. I think most people assume puppetry is for kids, or it has something to do with the Muppets.
The work of Animal Cracker Conspiracy challenges expectations, be it with shadow puppets.
And it's just cardboard and the clear packing tape, so it looks like that when it's projected.
Giant creations.
And these puppets are super effective for spectacle because they're so big that you can see them coming from miles away.
Or puppets created from trash.
Shopping bag cut into little strips. You can see his elbow there. Oh, you're looking at my elbow. And cardboard, rolled up newspaper, and masking tape that then has been painted with acrylic. And these heads we sculpted out of styrofoam, covered with masking tape, and then paper mache, and then their eyes are just plastic beads.
Hot glue. High tech.
Maybe not high tech, but high concept. Animal Cracker Conspiracy is pushing the notion of what puppetry can be.
If you can use it and you can tell a message and it's something outside of your body, then you're entering that kind of fabulous gray area that modern or contemporary puppetry is.
To me, it's taking the material, which is an object, and animating that. So animus, to give something life.
And there's a bit of alchemy involved in bringing inanimate objects to life.
Okay, I have a puppet that has one flat expression. How do I convey that he's scared or she's excited? So what do you do physically with your hands, with your movement, with your head, with your eyes, anything to do it yourself, embody it, and then go back and pick up the puppet and put that movement into the puppet.
And when done right, it's magical. For The Collector, the artists use puppets without moving mouths because they can be more eloquent on stage.
Well, we won't be hooded completely, but we wear all black costumes, and we're gloved so you wouldn't see our hands. The idea is for us to disappear.
We wanted to explore tabletop puppetry. We wanted to figure out how we could combine video projection, tabletop puppetry, and a giant toy theater and create a compelling narrative.
To me, feels like we're living in an age of hyper-materialism, and that objects and things are very important to who we are as people and our self-worth. With The Collector, I became really interested too in what happens when these objects also go away. Kind of looking at psychologically the need to collect.
A show that pushes boundaries needs a space that aspires to similar goals. Gunn and Roundtree found that venue literally around the corner from their University Heights home at Peter McConnell's Third Space.
It's a very different concept. It's what I call a private club for the creative.
In other words, the perfect place for an experiment with puppetry.
We'd like to see it treated more on a level with theater, that you're going to see a play. Yes, it's going to be shorter. However, it should have every nuance and depth of a play that you might see at a local theater.
I think people will love it and be surprised.
That's KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando. Preview performances of The Collector at University Heights Third Space are coming up Wednesday and Thursday. The show officially opens on June 6th. The kissing statue on San Diego's downtown waterfront is coming down in a few days. Workers will begin removing the piece on Wednesday. It's being sent for restoration before it's returned to the Sculpture Foundation. Money is being raised for a permanent bronze version here. Tomorrow, the Midway Museum plans to announce the status of the project.
Tonight in the public square, some reaction to our story about Proposition 29, which would increase the price of a pack of cigarettes by $1. The Legislative Analyst's Office estimates that revenue from the tax increase on cigarettes could generate $735 million each year. The state would spend the money on cancer research and anti-smoking programs, but our audience has questions. Jean Mark writes, Quote, what is next? Will the government start taxing unhealthy food and beverages to encourage the population to eat according to what the government thinks is best for us and for the bottom line of the National Insurance Plan? And David, 65, wrote, let's wait and see how much of that $600 million really goes to cancer research. You can weigh in on the conversation by following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, and of course, you can email us. And now Dwayne has a recap of tonight's top stories.
Leaders of the Rock Church say the county grand jury is wrong to call for a suspension of the church's permit. The church says its permit was thoroughly reviewed in 2004. The grand jury was investigating complaints about traffic and parking around the Point Loma Church. Gas prices have dropped in San Diego just in time for Memorial Day weekend. The average price for a gallon of regular is $4.30. And Coronado Beach topped a list of the nation's best. A Florida researcher known as Dr. Beach ranks them based on water quality and safety. Dr. Beach says Coronado's only drawback is its chilly water temperature. You can find all of tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Hope you have a great weekend.